Here we go again. Another unhinged liberal lunatic has answered Maxine Waters' calls for attacks on Trump officials. This time President Trump's top aide Stephen Miller was the victim of an emotionally unbalanced Democrat, who lashed out at Miller while he was trying to pick up a food takeout order from the Hill. A Washington, D.C. bartender once followed White House senior advisor Stephen Miller out of a sushi restaurant and cursed at him, according to the Washington Post. In a story that detailed numerous cases of current and former Trump administration officials taking insults from members of the public in Washington, D.C., the newspaper mentioned an anecdote it said Miller had told to numerous colleagues. Miller, a former Senate aide who has had a leading role in the administration's immigration policies, told colleagues he had been insulted after picking up $80 in sushi from a restaurant near his downtown apartment. Miller reportedly said that a bartender followed him onto the street, before shouting his name. Miller said the bartender then raised both middle fingers toward him and cursed at him. The Post reports that Miller told co-workers that he became so outraged that he threw the sushi away. Miller is far from the only Trump administration official to face such hostility in public. The Post story relayed situations at bookshops, grocery stores and other public places where people such as former White House strategist Stephen Bannon, White House counselor Kellyanne Conway and Vice President Pence have been confronted. Shortly after Conway arrived in Washington to work in Trump's White House, a man shouted at her, "You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Go look in the mirror." "I wasn't expecting people to try to undo the election and drive us out of town," Conway told the newspaper. The Post also notes that a stranger shouted "better be better" at Miller as he walked through the city a few months ago. His face also appeared on wanted posters that were given out to his neighbors. But the story notes that White House officials facing forms of public backlash is not unique to the Trump administration. Hundreds of protesters once gathered outside of the home of President George W. Bush's political strategist, Karl Rove. Rove said that he was very circumspect during his time around the city. Instances of members of the public confronting high-profile officials appear to have increased in recent weeks, amid media attention on Trump's zero-tolerance immigration policy that has resulted in thousands of children being separated from their families at the border. In June, Miller and Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen were both yelled at by protesters who entered Mexican restaurants where they were dining to confront them on immigration. Separately, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders was also asked to leave a Virginia restaurant because of her role in Trump's administration. In addition, a woman confronted former Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Scott Pruitt while he was eating lunch last week and urged him to resign over the series of scandals he's been ensnared in. After he resigned just days later, the same woman tweeted at Trump, "Hey at real Donald Trump, where are you going to lunch tomorrow?" Kristen Mink tweeted,